Oh, whoa, whoa. He scares himself.
Yeah.
Okay.
You grew up in a big family.
8 kids.
Was it like, because you're Italian, was it like a...
Half Italian, half Irish. Yeah.
So what was that like? Italian father, Irish mother.
Mm-hmm.
Catholic.
Very Catholic. It was great in certain ways, and it was crazy in other ways. And, you know, at the end of the day, 8 kids, you know, my mom was way overextended, but it was fun to have a lot of bodies or a lot of people around, a lot of personalities around.
Did you fall in the 8th?
I was the third.
Third eldest?
Yeah. I grew up thinking that I was a boy when I was little. And my parents indulged that. They thought it was funny and cute. And my first nickname was Dirty Face Mulligan. And I had, as documented in photographs, by the time I guess when I was 3 years old, I had full-on cowboy chaps and holster and cowboy hat and a vest and my little, you know, guns. And yeah, that was my mentality. Had I been given the choice when I was that age, if I were growing up in this day and age, with all of the gender awareness and variation and all of that kind of stuff, would I have chosen to be a boy? Maybe. But I'm really glad that I didn't. I don't think that I have to be one gender or another. I don't think that is the most critical part of my identity, to be honest. I don't really consider it to be that important, you know. From a very early age, I really wanted to write. I got out of school, I was writing lots of angst-ridden poetry, you know, and I did have a fair amount of angst. You know, I was going through a lot with my identity as a woman who was not particularly physically attracted to men. And then, you know, Fido availed me the opportunity to start writing, and to write in a humorous vein, which was really a relief. It was wonderful. I enjoyed it a lot, you know, because Fido was a cartoon-like character. People in the cartoon business took me and Sue seriously as potential writers. So we started writing material for, you know, for cartoons, and that's how Angela Anaconda evolved. What influenced me with Angela was I came from this crazy, chaotic family, this 8 kids crazy family. And, you know, at the time, our TV offerings were things like Father Knows Best, which was a perfect family, you know, with the perfect picket fence, and they had their conflicts, and that's what made it compelling. But everything was always resolved and, you know, tied with a neat bow and all good. And I was like, no, what is wrong with my family? Is that what my family is supposed to look like? No. So, you know, I wanted Angela to be not only a response to what I considered to be disrespectfully lowbrow content for kids, because the other thing that I had growing up was Looney Tunes, which was genius. Bugs Bunny was genius and sophisticated and funny for people of all ages. It wasn't talking down, but I feel like something happened, you know, that got us to this place where a lot of TV shows were talking down to kids. So we basically got a call from the guys who were doing the show called Kablam at Nickelodeon. They called us and said, we're doing this show with experimental, you know, animation. Do you have anything? And all I had was, you know, Sue had done the characters based on my writing. And so we created a Bible and handed that to them, and they read it and, you know, called us in and said they loved it. And so that was like my second grade teacher again.
Yeah.
You know, that was really cool because I respected those guys so much.
Well, I want to hear the second grade story.
You know, my determination to be a writer was galvanized one of our assignments was to write a short story. I wrote a story about a little girl who turns into a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and gets eaten by a horse. And I did the illustrations, and my teacher really liked it. So she sent me across this playground, across the street by myself over the library to present my work to the librarian, who was her friend. And the librarian really liked it, and the librarian kept it. You know, I don't know whatever became of it, but I felt so special. I really did. You know, not to mention that I loved writing that story. It made absolute sense to me to be a little girl and turn into a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and get eaten by a horse. It was so freeing. And really from then on, I knew that I loved that world of, you know, creating things with words and imagination. I started going to a book club at the Betsy Hotel, and really had fun with a bunch of old gals, you know, meeting there once a week. We would meet at, I think, 9 o'clock in the morning, so I'd get to the Betsy at 7. And, you know, I had thought I could use something that I had already written, but the rule of the club was you have to be, you know, writing something new. So I started writing Julian, and the 2 novels that I did previously were much more serious, and I, you know, wanted to do something. I wanted to lighten up some. I wanted to do something that would be more fun for me to write and for maybe people to read, and so that's what came to me. I think that if we really look at ourselves, you know, we all are just ridiculous in one way or another. And if you just follow these people, you know, in a natural way, they will show you their proclivities and their, you know, inconsistencies, and they'll make you scratch your head and they'll make you laugh. I moved to Miami over the course of the last 12 years, and it has gradually become my hometown. It's no longer about the Giants and the Jets. It's now all about the Dolphins and the Buccaneers. Not that the Buccaneers are Miami, but Florida, close enough, and they have Tom Brady, and they won the Super Bowl. So what am I going to do? Art Basel was one of the reasons that I moved to Miami, really, because I thought, oh my God, I get to see more art in 4 days than I see in a year in New York City. So I love Basquiat. I think he was such an unbridled genius. He just had so much to say. There was so much heart and soul in everything that he did. You could feel him feeling the experience. My friend Santiago Guevara, who did the painting that I have in my living room, is a young Colombian artist who, to me, is a little bit reminiscent of Basquiat. I would say that definitely my favorite fashion designer is Rei Kawakubo, who is Comme des Garçons. She's very creative, very experimental. She can use a very classic infrastructure and take it and just explode it. Excellent stuff. So I love her. She's my favorite. And I think fashion, it doesn't have to be all that expensive stuff. You know, I'll often have on like a really expensive jacket with a shirt that I got on a Korean website for $16, and, you know, pants from the Gap, or, you know, I just, you know, it's the mixing and the matching, and as a form of self-expression, I like fashion a lot. It's an exclusive club that anyone can join. It was at a time in New York City when club area was sort of the epicenter of this whole cultural movement of performance art, all kinds of, you know, new music, and incredible confluence of cultural elements and social elements. all kinds of happenings in New York, and I wanted to participate. I wanted to have a voice. I would meet with Sue Rose, and we'd have a drink after work almost every day. And for a year, I was saying, Sue, we have to do something. We have to put our point of view out there, because we would sit there and talk about our point of view, our philosophy of life, what have you. We had a desire to expand on that more or less, because club area and places like it, and New York City at the time was an exclusive club. But what made it so wonderful is that it was kind of open to everybody. I feel like life is an exclusive club. You know, being a human being is being in an exclusive club. Everybody's invited to participate. Everybody has something to contribute. And nobody should be ruled out. So Fido came out of that, became that voice, and it was interesting because I never thought, okay, this guy is going to be, you know, the thing that pays the rent for the rest of my life. You know, this is going to take me to all kinds of international destinations and, you know, all of this stuff that eventually occurred, but I never ruled it out. I always say to people, if you're thinking about starting something, do something that you love, and don't put a whole bunch of predetermined expectations on it. Just give it your heart and soul and see where that takes you. And usually you'll succeed.